Big travel changes are here. For seniors, immigrants, and frequent flyers, your passport and ID checks are evolving fast. One overlooked date could ruin your plans. Stay ahead and understand everything. U.S. Citizenship and Visa has the answers you need. Okay, let's update the timeline to reflect the present moment and make the hook even more immediate and impactful. Listen very carefully. The landscape of travel is shifting profoundly, and it's happening now. For seniors, immigrants, and frequent international visitors, the rules are going to feel different than they have in years. We're not talking about packing an extra sweater anymore. We're talking about a new era where how your passport is checked, how your identity is verified, and how one single, seemingly small detail, like an expiration date, could unexpectedly determine whether you step onto that plane or watch your journey depart without you. You may have already heard bits and pieces. Talk about real ID deadlines. Talk about digital travel systems. Talk about changes at airports and immigration counters. These aren't just rumors anymore. They are quickly turning into concrete policies, and many are taking effect right now or in the very near future. And here's the reality. Seniors traveling to visit family, students returning to school, workers on visas, and families waiting on approvals are all going to feel these shifts in different ways. Our goal today isn't to scare you. Our goal at U.S. Citizenship and Visa is to help you feel prepared, steady, and confident, so you don't feel lost when an officer asks for a document you didn't know you needed. Every day, we at U.S. Citizenship and Visa guide people through immigration updates, visa news, and travel changes in a way that's calm, simple, and honest. We're not lawyers, and we're not government officials. We aim to be your companion through this process, someone who explains what's happening, what it means, and when it may or may not affect you. And today we want to talk about something very important, especially if you're over 60, traveling often, or carrying any form of U.S. visa or pending immigration case. There are new expectations around identification and travel documentation. Some are already happening quietly. Some are rolling out more aggressively, right now. And some are simply misunderstandings that cause unnecessary fear. So, let's breathe together, stay calm, and walk through this step by step. Because when you understand the rules, you worry less, and you travel with confidence. Let's begin with something that confuses almost everyone. The difference between airport identification and immigration documentation. These two worlds overlap, but they are not the same. Airports talk about real ID. Immigration talks about passports, visas, and status. Many seniors think, if I don't have real ID, I can't fly. But here's the truth. If you have a valid passport, you already hold one of the strongest forms of identification you can carry in the United States. For domestic flights, your passport works. For international flights, your passport is required anyway. Where things become stressful is when someone forgets that their passport expires soon. Especially seniors who don't travel often until it's time for that important family trip, medical appointment abroad, or reunion they've planned all year. One of the most common problems we see is travelers discovering at the airport that their passport expires in just a few months. Many countries require that your passport be valid for at least 6 months beyond your travel date. Not knowing that can lead to last-minute cancellations and heartbreaking delays. And we know how painful that can feel, especially when you've saved, planned, and waited. So, If you're watching this and your passport expires in the next year, this is your gentle reminder. Don't wait. Check it now. Renew it early. Not because something terrible will happen, but because peace of mind is worth so much more than rushing at the last minute. For seniors, there's another layer. Maybe you worry about carrying too many documents. Maybe you forget which card does what. Maybe you've heard stories of people being denied at security, and it makes you anxious. We want you to know something important. Feeling unsure is normal. Travel rules have changed so many times in the past few years that even frequent travelers sometimes get confused. What matters most is preparation, not perfection. If you have a valid passport, keep it somewhere safe and easy to reach. If you still use a regular driver's license without a star, it's okay. Just know that your passport may be the better option for flying moving forward. And one more thought, especially for our senior travelers and those with immigration cases in progress. Always keep photocopies or digital scans of your passport and travel documents stored securely. Not because you expect something bad to happen, but because life is easier when everything is organized. It helps you stay calm. It helps officers verify information quickly. And it reminds you that your journey, your travel plans, your family visits, your future deserves care and attention. Now, let's gently move into something many of you ask us about every single day: work visas. Whether you're here on H-1B, your spouse is on H-4, or your company transferred you on L-1, the paperwork, the waiting, and the uncertainty can be exhausting. And, as we navigate this period, we're seeing a steady push toward more digital systems, tighter verification, and slightly more structured reviews. That doesn't automatically mean bad news. It simply means that documents need to be clear, timelines matter more, and small mistakes can slow things down. If you're on H-1B, you may notice that some cases move fast, while others take months. That doesn't always mean someone is favored or someone else is in trouble. Many factors affect processing: workload at different service centers, security checks, and sometimes simple randomness. Premium processing can speed things up, but it doesn't guarantee an approval, and it doesn't make your case stronger. It only moves it forward on the calendar. So, if your case feels slow, pause, breathe, and remember, delay is not the same as denial. If USCIS needs something, they usually ask. That's where RFEs come in. An RFE doesn't mean your case is failing. It simply means the officer wants clearer documentation. Think of it as, help me understand this part better. Respond calmly, be organized, and avoid panicking based on internet rumors or other people's results. For H-4 spouses and work authorization, patience is especially important. Processing times can feel frustrating. Families feel stuck. Plans are delayed. If that's you, we want you to know your feelings are valid. It's hard to build a life when simple approvals take months. But again, stay steady. Keep copies of everything. Track your notices. And if your work authorization is pending, avoid making decisions based on assumptions or pressure from others. Your situation is unique. Let yourself move at a pace that is safe and legal. For L1 workers transferred by their company, the biggest issue we see isn't paperwork, it's travel. Many travelers worry at the port of entry, especially when officers ask questions. Remember, officers want clarity, not fear. Answer simply. Be honest. Keep your approval notice ready. And if your spouse or children travel with dependent visas, carry their paperwork as well. You're not expected to be perfect. You're simply expected to be truthful. A calm, respectful approach goes a long way. And through all of this, here's the message we want you to hold on to. Nothing in these categories is automatic. There are no guaranteed timelines. There are no secret shortcuts. The safest path is patience, organization, and staying informed one day at a time. Let's shift now to students, because we know many of you watching are studying, preparing to study, or supporting children and grandchildren who are. If you are on an F1 visa, the past few years have taught us something important. Interview backlogs, unexpected delays, and schedule changes are becoming part of normal life. That can be scary when your semester is starting and your future feels like it depends on one appointment. But a delay in scheduling or a longer wait for an interview does not automatically mean rejection. Often, it simply means demand is high and staff are limited. So try not to compare your situation to others. Everyone's path moves differently. For students on OPT or STEM OPT, timelines can feel very sensitive. You're thinking about job offers, start dates, and legal status all at once. The most important thing you can do is keep your records updated and stay in close communication with your school's DSO. Your school is your main point of guidance. They know your case history. They understand your deadlines, and they can help you avoid small mistakes that lead to big complications. Keep every email, keep copies of forms, and avoid relying on social media advice from strangers whose situations are nothing like yours. Travel for students also deserves extra attention. If you plan to leave the U.S. and come back, double-check everything before you go. Passport valid, I-20 signed, visa stamp up to date, and enough time to return before classes or work start again. If you're unsure, ask your DSO before you book anything. There is no embarrassment in asking questions. In fact, asking early is one of the smartest, strongest things you can do. And above everything, we want student viewers to hear this clearly. Confusion does not mean failure. Immigration systems can be complicated and sometimes slow. You are learning, adapting, and trying your best. And that is enough. Now, we want to talk about something that sits very close to many hearts. Green cards. For some of you, this journey has been years long. For others, it has stretched over decades. And if you're waiting right now, you probably live in a constant mix of hope, fatigue, and quiet patience. Currently, one thing remains true. Priority dates, categories, and processing speeds can shift, sometimes forward, sometimes backward. And it can feel deeply personal when that happens. But it isn't personal. It is the system adjusting numbers, quotas, and demand. When priority dates move ahead, it feels exciting. When they retrogress, it feels like the ground drops beneath your feet. And we want you to know something important in those moments. A backward move does not erase your place in line. Your priority date is still your anchor. It simply waits until numbers open again. For family-based applicants, especially parents, spouses, and adult children, the emotional side is often heavier than the paperwork side. Families live apart. Grandchildren grow up. Birthdays pass through video calls. And each update feels like a measurement of hope. If you are in that season, we want you to breathe. Your case is part paperwork, but also part patience. Sometimes movement is slow for months. Sometimes it speeds up unexpectedly. Staying informed helps. Checking official bulletins calmly helps. But constantly refreshing and comparing yourself to other families only drains your spirit. Your timeline is yours, and it is okay to feel tired while you wait. For employment-based green cards, the story is similar, but shaped by demand from companies, industries, and countries. Some categories clear faster, others remain stuck, and it's easy to believe rumors that promise shortcuts or guaranteed approvals. The truth is simpler. Strong documentation, accurate filings, and patience remain the safest combination. If you are adjusting status inside the United States, travel becomes something you plan carefully. If you are processing through a consulate, patience at each step becomes part of your routine. Neither path is better. They are simply different routes toward the same goal. And if you ever feel overwhelmed, remind yourself waiting, although difficult, is not failure. You are still moving forward, just at a pace you cannot fully control. Now, let's slowly move into something that affects nearly everyone at some point. USCIS systems, policies, and processing shifts. Over the past few years, we've seen a stronger push toward digital filing, online updates, and electronic communication. For many people, that's helpful. You can track your case, upload documents, and receive notices faster. But for some seniors, and even for families who are not comfortable with technology, it can feel intimidating. If that's you, we want to reassure you. It's okay to ask for help. A trusted family member, a school advisor, or your employer's HR department can assist you with online accounts. You don't have to carry everything alone. Another area that raises anxiety is processing time. People see their neighbor's case approved in 3 months and wonder why their own is still pending after 8. What we don't see behind the scenes are the different service centers, volume differences, background checks, and small factors that make each case unique. A slow case does not automatically signal danger. It simply means it is still being reviewed. When USCIS issues a request for evidence, it can feel like a sudden jolt, almost like being pulled back in line. But RFEs are a normal part of the system. They are not accusations. They are clarifications. They say, "Please show me more." Responding carefully, clearly, and calmly is usually the best response. Fees and refund rules are also becoming more structured and transparent. It may feel like costs rise more often than they should, and that's frustrating. But instead of panicking or rushing filings based on rumors, the safest approach is to read official announcements. Confirm before paying, and avoid websites that imitate the government but charge unnecessary service fees. If something feels confusing, pause, double-check. You deserve clarity before you spend money. The most important message as we navigate these systems is simple. The process may be complex, but you don't need to walk through it with fear. Organization, patience, and reliable information are powerful tools. You don't need special connections. You don't need shortcuts. You need clarity and room to breathe. When we talk about immigration, we also have to talk about travel. Because for many of you, your lives stretch across borders. Family in one country, work or study in another. And airports can sometimes feel like emotional checkpoints as much as security checkpoints. One of the most important things to understand right now is that travel systems are becoming more digital, more automated, and more verification-based. That doesn't mean more punishment. It simply means more checking, more matching, and fewer exceptions at the counter. If you're flying through another country on your way to the United States, you may sometimes need a travel authorization, even if you're not staying there. That surprises people. They think, but I'm only changing planes. The reality is, every country controls who passes through its airports, not just who enters. So, before you book, take a quiet moment to check airline guidance and the official website of the country you're transiting through. A few minutes of preparation can save hours of stress. Inside U.S. airports, there's another layer of confusion we hear often. People worry that TSA officers are immigration officers. They are not. TSA focuses on security and identification, not your status. Their job is to make sure you are who you say you are, and that the flight is safe. Immigration officers, on the other hand, come into play at ports of entry, when you enter the country, or adjust status. Knowing the difference helps your heart stay calmer. If you're asked questions, answer naturally. Keep your documents ready. And remember, respect and clarity go a long way. You don't have to argue. You don't have to panic. You simply stay present, breathe, and respond honestly. For travelers with medical needs, mobility limits, or disabilities, airports can feel overwhelming. Long lines, loud announcements, fast-moving instructions. If you rely on medication, cooling packs, mobility devices, or assistance, planning ahead makes the journey gentler. Keep prescriptions labeled. Keep medical items separated so they're easy to explain. If something needs special handling, speak up politely and early. You're not being difficult. You're advocating for your health and dignity. And if walking long distances is hard, request assistance ahead of time. You deserve to travel with comfort, safety, and respect. All of these changes, more digital systems, more scanning, more verification, can sound heavy. But when we step back, they also offer something important. Fewer misunderstandings when documents are clear, more consistency at checkpoints, and less guesswork about what is allowed. Knowledge doesn't remove every challenge, but it steadies the path in front of you. And now we want to shift from information into support, because information alone doesn't always calm the heart. Many of you watching are waiting for a decision, waiting for an interview, waiting for a chance to see family again. When things take longer than expected, the mind fills in the silence with fear. Maybe something is wrong. Maybe I did something bad. Maybe this is the end. Most of the time, it isn't. It's simply a system moving slowly. If you ever find yourself unsure, the safest step is not to guess. It's to ask. Students can talk to their school advisors. Workers can speak to their company's HR or trusted professionals. Families can look at official USCIS pages before believing random posts. You don't need to fight this system alone, and you don't need to take advice from people who are only guessing. Your case is personal. Your journey is unique. You deserve guidance that respects that. Staying organized also brings peace. Keep a small folder, physical or digital, where everything lives together. Passports, notices, receipts, copies of forms, travel histories. Not because you expect trouble, but because organization creates confidence. When someone asks for a document, you know exactly where it is. When a date matters, you're already aware. Small habits today prevent big stress tomorrow. And through all of this, please remember something simple and gentle. Immigration journeys are not just paperwork journeys. They are emotional journeys. They test patience. They stretch families. They invite courage. Feeling tired doesn't mean you're weak. Feeling anxious doesn't mean you're failing. It simply means this matters to you, and that's human. When you step back and look at everything we've talked about today, passports, travel identity, visas, green cards, processing delays, airports, approvals, and waiting, it becomes clear that immigration is not just a legal process. It's a life process. It shapes where you live, who you can hug, what opportunities open, and which doors stay closed a little longer than you hoped. And sometimes that can be heavy. So, we want you to know something from our hearts. Feeling uncertain on this journey doesn't mean you're unprepared. It simply means you care about doing things the right way. The more informed you are, the more grounded you feel. And the more grounded you feel, the easier it becomes to take each step without fear. There will always be policy updates. There will always be new digital systems, new forms, new interview procedures, new airport scanners. That's the world we live in. But knowledge gives you stability. When you know what changed, who it affects, and when it applies, it stops feeling like chaos and begins to feel like planning. And planning is peaceful. Maybe you're renewing your passport. Maybe you're waiting on a visa. Maybe you're traveling soon and double-checking every document twice. Whatever your situation is, remember you don't have to rush through it. Slow, careful preparation is a form of self-care. If today's update felt helpful, we're glad you're here. This space at U.S. Citizenship and Visa is meant to keep you informed without panic and supported without pressure. If anything we shared today connects to your situation, or if you've gone through something similar, a delay, an interview, a travel experience, a long wait, sharing your story in the comments can help others feel less alone. You never know who you might comfort just by saying, "I went through this too." And if you'd like to stay updated, gently staying connected helps. When new immigration news arrives, when policies shift, when something important changes in passports, visas, or travel rules, we'll be here, calmly breaking it down step by step, so you always know what's coming and what it means for you. Liking or sharing this video simply helps the information reach more families who need clarity and reassurance. Subscribing ensures you don't miss future updates. Immigration journeys take courage. They ask for patience, resilience, and faith in tomorrow. Wherever you are in your process, starting, waiting, traveling, renewing, or finally reaching the finish line, we're truly proud of you for staying informed and moving forward with care. Thank you for spending this time with us today. Stay safe, stay organized, stay hopeful.